I wonder if Madison's gonna show up today. She was here yesterday. I don't know why I said it that way. She just had to go to a rehearsal. Hey guys. She's people that is singing at graduation.
Oh, there are gonna be things at the garden.
Well, there's an advanced choir that's singing national anthem and alma mater. And then the senior performances are Dom and Sterling playing their capstone pieces. Nice. Oh, that's wonderful. You're ahead of the game. Mm-hmm. Okay. I don't think I know who he is, but I'm old and have weird taste in things. You know, sometimes it does and sometimes it doesn't. There's no, you just got to test it. Very strange. Guys, oh, hi. Hey, can I ask you something? Like half of my voice just didn't work when I said that. Does this thing, I'm looking at this and my name's only on it once, which is nice, but does this mean that, like, when am I going to be with my kids plus the Washington Johnsons? And
where are you?
right here.
Suffered second and third period. Grace with her kids plus the Washington Johnson group.
I don't know what any of that means.
So that means you should have, is that third period? Second and third? So you'll be having either my group and Johnson's group third period. And my group is going to be whatever kids that are showing up, which is not.
Okay. And well, wait, do you teach second and third?
I do teach second and third.
So I just have whatever kids both of y'all have that come
Yeah.
to school.
But second period is algebra 1. So depending on what is this, what class, that's biology. You shouldn't have too many folks in that class because most of
Okay.
them will be, if it's algebra 1, you might have like a little small group of 8th graders if they
Okay.
show up doing biology. Because everyone else will be, they'll be testing and the 8th graders might not be testing. So
I see. I'm like a little bit bummed about that just because second period during that week is when I'm doing sex ed with all the seniors. But, you know, it's not going to hurt a couple 8th graders to know what a penis is either, I guess. So.
that's great. But no, I
In
was
case
coming
they
in here
don't.
to say something else to you about this, but I didn't realize we had students.
We have students. I'm not even muted.
Oh, okay. Hey. What just happened?
I feel like my brain is just like fried right now.
what just happened?
I don't know. It's the end of the week.
It's-
I've been running
Wait,
around
yeah.
like a crazy person all day.
18.5 days.
You don't even have
You
that
have less
much
than that.
longer.
17. When can we
You've
stop?
got,
You can stop like.
Why can we not? I know we got.
Are you coming? Because people say they're always.
so that's a
gonna show
great
up.
question.
I don't know. We don't know how to do what we do with next class.
So the,
Oh.
and I'm glad you asked. Your grades, senior grades are due on the 9th.
Yeah.
So I think for us, you might have like a couple other things that you can do after that, but you'll want to go ahead and finish it. Like your poetry anthology is not due until the 10th.
Right.
Your CAPS quiz is due the 11th, but you're gonna need to turn them in. CAPS quiz. We did one of those last time. Why am I looking at that? For the love of God. But I don't know. I had people ask me yesterday, like, do we have to come on the 14th? And I'm like, well, what's have to? Like, I don't think anybody expects you to be here on the 14th.
So.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. You're
So
graduating.
like, if we do come, do we have to like go into our classes?
Where else would you go?
It's like, I have a certain spot. that I already
If
found.
Mike is fine with that, I feel like your teachers would be fine with that too. Yeah, like I already told my second period is all seniors. And hey, do you like her? I was like, y'all can come, but we're not doing anything. Like, yeah.
Yeah, it's not the last thing.
I got sent an email about like, well, me and Nykirk and you, I think, and Kokul about like, what's the plan for seniors? I'm like, who's answering this? Like, whose job is it to know? I don't think it's mine. I don't think I have the power. I know.
Oh my gosh, this is all on the record.
It's all on the record. Well,
But
uh,
that's another great question. I think, yeah,
yeah.
there's a lot of questions here, but I want to pause my other statements.
Shoot. And I just sent Nykirk an email. I wish I had waited and could have asked him that.
Take care.
Kayla says, hey, Wash.
Um, Yeah, I have
Yeah.
a lot to talk about with that.
Okay,
Oh,
fun. Hey. I do, they're right over there. I would love for you to. Also, I know that Kinsey, you didn't order anything, but Kayla, you did? Maybe. Maybe you didn't.
You teach him?
No.
Why did he come in and say, hey, guys? He's just a kid.
I mean,
What
I
was
don't,
that?
there are other kids that I don't teach, but that I like. What grade is he in? Ninth? Eighth?
No.
He's great. He came up to Wash this morning and was, I don't remember what girl, but he was like, do you know her? Is she here? And Wash was like, I don't know, but I know her. And he's like, do you like her? Like he was just gonna be like, no, I really don't. I'm glad you asked. I wanted to vent about it.
I just noticed that Miss Kim has left a note on every whiteboard in every classroom. to let
Mhm.
you know she's here.
Yes, she did. Leaving her mark. She's supposed to come to graduation. She plans
It
to.
was great to see her though. When I saw
I
her,
know.
was like, "Oh, is that Miss Kim, my mother?"
Yes. Well, then never mind what I was gonna say about these other orders, which are just baffling to me. But you just have to come pick up your cap and gown. And if you don't, I'll just bring it to graduation. So,
I think I got this perfectly. And I just found out yesterday that I'm getting my honors course at early.
yes, you are. I think there's 8 of you who are getting honor cords. Anyway, we should do stuff, I guess. Well, what are we doing today? Something about juxtaposition, maybe. We are now. Just so you're aware, there will be a juxtaposition quiz due next Friday, but it might be helpful to open it now and try to do it along with the video we're gonna see.
We're watching the video right now.
We're gonna look at this one quick thing first,
Oh, I already.
and then we're gonna watch the video. Oh, okay.
Yeah. Everything I want to do.
Oh, good. Ahead of the game.
I don't think I did every canvassing quiz. If I did, I'm gonna lie. That means I'm weird.
Yeah.
Does this have 2 videos? in it?
I think it's only got one video.
It says summary 5 and 6.
What says that?
The quiz.
What? Hey. Oh, you're right. I see that. Well, crud.
Part 2.
Well, then it won't do you any good to do the quiz now, but
We're only watching one.
we're only watching the juxtaposition thing today. I don't even know how long it is.
Oh, look at it, right?
And I think it's 2. 2.
No, the time.
Oh, yes, yes. But won't it log you out eventually?
Oh, okay.
I have to log back in every freaking time I get on D2L. So dumb. It's like click anywhere to log in a new window.
I mean, if you leave it, the quiz open.
Yeah. Okay. Definition examples. I don't know for sure if we're gonna have to, I just want to see how long this is. Okay, well, we gotta get a move on, I guess. Let me share my screen with you folks. Share screen. I'm just going to tell you about juxtaposition for a minute here, and then we'll watch this video. Juxtaposition. Kenzie, didn't you tell me one time that was your favorite word?
It's such a cool word. Yeah, it is.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
It
Because
is
it's one of like the only English terms that I actually understand. So
Oh, gotcha. Yeah, that makes sense. It's the placement of two or more things side by side, often in order to bring out their differences. Imagine, for instance, a man walking a well-groomed dog on a pink leash in one hand and a rough Rottweiler on a spiked collar in the other hand. Hilarious. The juxtaposition could be shocking, humorous, or just plain strange. Regardless, this literary term calls attention to two distinctly different things by placing them right beside one another or juxtaposing them. For example, all's fair in love and war. Two opposite concepts placed beside one another. And that goes to show that despite how different the two are, both are characterized by a lack of rules or guidelines. So I have a few examples here because it can occur between characters, settings, events, ideas, actions, whatever else. So this first example describes a butler's life. A butler's life for me. A butler spends his days in a beautiful mansion dressed in a tuxedo, but returns home to a closet-sized apartment in a rundown part of town. And that's kind of juxtaposing two settings, the mansion, obviously, and the poor butler's apartment. And it goes to show how different the butler's quality of living is from his employers. Here's an example of juxtaposition in attitude. A waitress is remarkably rude and impatient with a doting couple. She's extremely kind, though, to a quiet man who is eating alone with a book. I'm already picturing that she's like bitter because relationships haven't worked out for her in the past. And so she like doesn't like to see people being affectionate and it's just like, ugh, I can't deal with these people. But then she's like, oh, this person is lonely like me. Let's be nice. It juxtaposes her attitude towards different types of customers. And see, they think the same thing. She's jealous of the couple and empathetic to the single man as she herself is either single or unhappy in a relationship. Cool, cool, cool. The importance of using juxtaposition. It's an important literary term in that it highlights contrast between two things, but also invites comparisons. This device can be used to fully illustrate a character in a novel, complicate a poem's subjects, or convince an audience to feel a certain way about the subjects. This is a good little point here. Consider the waitress if her actions had not been juxtaposed. Simply shown being rude to a couple, she would be viewed as bitter and impatient. But when it's juxtaposed with her kindness towards a single man, her character is more well-rounded and understandable. Juxtaposition examples in literature. I don't know if I even want to go through these. Pop culture. Should we watch the trailer for Up?
Why is that?
Well, I don't know. I've never seen Up, so
You've never seen Up?
no.
Why?
Never seen it?
We'll talk about it after this trailer.
Good
I think
afternoon.
that-
You in need of any assistance today, sir?
No,
I could help you cross the street.
no,
I could help you cross your yard.
no,
I could help you cross
no.
your. Ow.
All his life, Carl Fredrickson dreamed of adventure. Today, his adventure is finally taking off.
Please let me in.
No. All right.
Hey, look, a dog.
Hi there. My name is Doug. My master made me this collar so that I may talk, squirrel.
My favorite character.
Hi there.
Whoa!
I would be happy if you stopped.
That's not in the movie? Carl Fredrickson is old, curt, and jaded. I feel like we saw that for sure. Russell, presumably the young boy, is young, full of energy, and naive.
I cannot wait for Cruella to come out.
Oh yeah, this weekend, I think. Maybe next weekend. I can't remember. Cruella.
Coming out next weekend?
Quiet Place 2?
No.
But I think it is. What?
The reunion.
Oh, you're obsessed with that.
I am. I've been watching. The first time I ever watched Friends, it was season 9. in 2009.
Oh,
So I was a baby.
yeah, you are. You're a little bitty baby. The juxtaposition between those two characters is funny, a cause of conflict in the movie, and ultimately a reason for Fredrickson to lighten up and open his heart to the youngster. Spoiler alert, he opens his heart to the youngster. Not everybody here's seen this movie, okay? I don't know if I'm gonna keep watching these just because I want us to be able to have time to see the whole other video, which is like 20 minutes. A foil is a character who has qualities that are opposite or contrasting to another character in a creative piece. Foils are used to highlight the uniquely different characteristics in one another. If foils sound like juxtaposition, it's because they're a specific type of juxtaposition. Just as squares may be considered rectangles, but rectangles may not be considered squares. All foils are juxtapositions, but not all juxtapositions are foils. I like that. And there's just some examples that we're not going to go through. In closing, juxtaposition is a literary term which places different elements side by side in order to emphasize their differences, reveal surprising similarities, or explore a unique relationship between the two. It challenges us to reconsider, and discover elements typically kept apart by placing them in contact with one another. Okay. So I haven't actually looked at this yet, so I don't know if we're going to have to listen to any songs, which is why I'm getting up to close the door. Do you guys remember last year when we watched Inside Out and I told you that if I can avoid it, I don't watch Pixar movies?
Yeah,
Because
that's what I remember.
they just like are trying to get people to cry.
Yeah.
So
that's
I've
true.
never seen that. Bryce has been trying to get me to watch Wall-E for 4
Wall-E,
years.
yeah, Wall-E.
It's all sad. It's all like,
I already seen Wall-E and that movie's made for so many times.
What? It's not. I swear it's not.
see, Julius?
Remember I thought Wall-E died, I cried, but the rest of the movie
No,
just.
Oh, I thought it was Kinsey that time. Sometimes Kinsey, we think that this lady, when she starts
What?
talking with you,
First time I saw it, I told my grandma.
Why does it sound like me?
it sounds like you a little bit. Can we talk about the fact that this is for an English class and they've misspelled eloquently?
Oh my god.
It's only got, am I crazy? Like, it's only got one,
I mean, that's something I would do.
it's only got one L, right?
Yeah, it has one L.
Yeah, one L.
Maybe it's a reference.
But you know what? It's okay. You guys are just misspelled fanatics.
I guess. All right. Well, let's see. Maybe we'll have to watch or listen to a song. Maybe we won't.
Look at that amazing cat.
My dog speaks more eloquently for juxtaposition and humanism. The brain does the best in human its use of juxtaposition, which is why there's a whole lecture devoted to just his use of juxtaposition. But before you go any further, lecture stop. Read the lyrics to A Farmer
Oh, come on.
Refuted and One Last Time.
But like, are we gonna? All right.
For starters,
Like, do we need to listen to them? Is it gonna ask us to listen to them later? One Last Time and Farmer Refuted. Okay. Well, now I gotta like freaking open Spotify and stuff. Ugh.
You going to Spotify real quick?
What?
Why? What's going on?
I don't know, Julius. My brain is broken.
Did you not hear me or?
I didn't hear you. No. That's why I was like, what? What is this?
Random stuff.
Same. Okay, where's my search box? Where's that? Am I insane? Am I just missing it? Here we go. One last time. I hope that these songs aren't like 20 minutes each. I mean, this is 5 minutes. Good Lord.
Busy. What do you need, sir? Sir, I want to give you a word of warning. Sir, I don't know what you heard, but whatever it is, Jefferson started it. Thomas Jefferson resigned this morning. You're kidding. I need a favor. Whatever you say, sir. Jefferson will pay for this behavior. Talk less. I'll use the press. I'll write under a pseudonym. You'll see what I can do to him. I need you to draft an address. Yes, he resigned. You can finally speak your mind. No. He's stepping down so he can run for president. Good luck defeating you, sir. I'm stepping down. I'm not running for president. Sorry, what? One last time. Relax, have a drink with me. One last time. Let's take a break tonight, and then we'll teach him how to say goodbye. To say goodbye, you and I. No, sir, I'd like to talk about neutrality, sir. With Britain and France on the verge of war, is this the best? I want to warn against partisan fighting. Pick up a pen, start writing. I want to talk about what I have learned, the hard-won wisdom I have earned. As far as the people are concerned, you have to serve. You could continue to serve. One last time, the people will hear from me. One last time, and if we get this right, we're gonna teach them how to say goodbye. You and I. Mr. President, they will say you're weak. They will see we're strong. Your position is so unique, so I'll use it to move them along. Why do you have to say goodbye? If I say goodbye, the nation learns to move on. It outlives me when I'm gone. Like the scripture says, everyone shall sit under their own vine and fig tree, and no one shall make them afraid. They'll be safe in the nation we've made. I want to sit under my own vine and fig tree, a moment alone in the shade, at home in this nation we made. One last time, one last time. Though in reviewing the incidents of my administration, I am unconscious of intentional error, I am nevertheless too sensible of my defects not to think it probable that I may have committed many errors. I shall also carry with me the hope that my country will view them with indulgence, and that after 45 years of my life dedicated to its service, with an upright zeal, the faults of incompetent ability will be consigned to oblivion, as I myself will soon be, to the mansions of rest. I anticipate with pleasing expectation that retreat in which I promise myself to realize the sweet enjoyment of partaking in the midst of my fellow citizens, the benign influence of a good laws of a free government, the ever-favorite object of my heart, the happy reward as I trust of our mutual care, labors and dangers. One last time. George Washington's going home. Teach him how to say goodbye. George Washington's going home. You and I. George Washington's going home. Going home. George Washington's going home. History has its eyes on you. We're gonna teach them how to say goodbye.
Interesting. Like the spoken part and everything. I
It's
know.
literally one of my favorite songs.
I really like the ending. I mean, I like the whole thing, but I thought that was a really good ending.
The ending in the Disney version, I think, is a lot better
Oh,
because
really?
it's not as plain. But yeah,
I see. Isn't it the dad from Moana that plays George Washington, or did I make that up?
it's the I don't know his name, but he's in that show Bull.
That voice sounded familiar to me, and I knew I heard it from somewhere.
I think
just
it
didn't think
is.
was a Disney movie.
He's from what show, Kinsey?
From Bull. I think that's the show's name.
Oh, okay.
Ooh,
Okay, this one is short. So maybe we'll have time to finish we'll see. I don't think we'll finish the whole video, but you know, we can always do more of it later. Farmer refuted.
Hear ye, hear ye! My name is Samuel Seabury, and I present free thoughts on the proceedings of the Continental Congress. Heed not the rabble who scream revolution. They have not your interest at heart.
God, tear this dude apart.
Chaos and bloodshed are not a solution. Don't let them lead you astray. This Congress does not speak for me. They're playing a dangerous game. I pray the King shows you his mercy. For shame, for shame. Heed not the rabble
at the sound of
scream.
screams, but the
Revolution is coming. Have not your interest at heart.
Listen to you with a straight face.
Chaos and bloodshed
Already
are
hard
not
to
a
solve.
solution.
Shouldn't even talk. And what about Boston? Look at the cost and all that we've lost, and you talk
This
at the
Congress
Congress.
does not speak
My
for
dog
me.
speaks more eloquently than me.
A dangerous strain.
Your maid
I
is
pray the King shows you his mercy.
Is he in Jersey?
For shame, for the revolution.
Repeat yourself again, I'm gonna scream. Honestly, look at me, please don't breathe.
Not your interest.
Don't modulate the key to not debate with me. Why should a tiny island across the sea regulate the price of tea?
Alexander, please.
But I'd rather be divisive than indecisive. Drop the niceties. A message from the king. A message from the king. A message from the king.
That one was fun. Very nice. Okay, so I don't know if we'll finish this video because I don't know if, like we've done the last few days, like we'll listen to it while we look at the lyrics and then they're like, now watch this video of them performing it. I don't know if there's any of that, so we'll find out.
And one last time. For starters, what is juxtaposition?
I've just told
What
you.
does this fancy word mean?
This fancy
It's
word.
simply the fact of two things being placed together with contrasting effects. In layman's terms, it's when you place two starkly different things next to each other to make a point of the vast differences between them. In Hamilton, we see multiple different types of juxtaposition. We have racial juxtaposition, class juxtaposition, method juxtaposition, and word juxtaposition, being just a couple of the ones that we're going to highlight in this lecture. For starters, we're going to look at racial juxtaposition. Miranda draws attention to how white the founding fathers of our country really were. And one of the ways that he does this is by casting only minorities to play white characters. So most people would recognize George Washington, pictured above. And so by casting Chris Jackson, who's an African-American male, in the role of Washington, Miranda is both drawing attention to how white the founding fathers really were, and he's also using that to make a statement that the role transcends the traditional casting boundaries. By accepting Chris Jackson as George Washington, the audience no longer sees race as the defining characteristic of the father of America. The irony of all of this is that with Miranda playing Hamilton, he's actually of Puerto Rican descent, and so his DNA is probably a little bit closer to Hamilton than any of the other cast would be. So they're iconic role.
What?
Why was there like a
And
long
the irony of Miranda
pause?
playing Hamilton is that as a Puerto Rican descendant, he is actually closer to the genetic DNA of Hamilton than anyone else is to their roles in the show, being that Hamilton was also from the Caribbean.
I don't know what happened. I think she had a
Hamilton, however,
stroke
is
for a
always
second.
depicted as a traditional looking white man, a very good looking one, and he was often referred to as the most handsome of the founding fathers.
Okay.
Class juxtaposition. There's a distinct schism between the old world and the new world, and Miranda does a fantastic job in emphasizing this by the theme, diction, and style of the old versus the new. We also see this where he uses it to compare the royalty versus peasants, the wealthy versus the poor, and then the educated versus the laborers. By putting two characters together with contrasting styles like Anna Farmer Refuted, which we'll look at shortly, Miranda draws attention to just how massive the differences between the two are. King George serves as a constant reminder of the old ways with his traditional lyrical musical theater style, and it never changes. The notes he sings never even really change. All three of his songs are essentially the same melodies and the same
It's
refrain,
true.
only the words change.
I remember that.
So Miranda uses this to show the fluidity of the Americas and the new people and the new nations versus the tight, rigid structure of the old world and of the monarchy and of Britain in general. Method juxtaposition. So again, he talks about traditional
Gif.
versus modern, old versus new, the old people versus the young people, the establishment versus the people, which is ironic because Hamilton eventually starts to become part of the establishment. This is just another way that Miranda puts two things together to show how different they really are. You also have the North and the South as well. So we see the clash between Hamilton and Jefferson as a constant source of method juxtaposition. Word juxtaposition. Miranda mixes high versus low language and humor. He mixes educated versus daily speak, classic language versus slang. He blends all of these together, and you see this when we look at Hamilton and Burr side by side. Also compare Mulligan and Lawrence and see the difference between the two. We even see these in the allusions that Miranda uses throughout the musical. He flips from classical musical theater references to operas and traditional musical canons. And then in the next line, he's giving us a staple from hip hop or rap genres. So A Farmer Refuted is a great example of juxtaposition in almost every way possible. Unlike in the musical, these exchanges between Hamilton and Seabury happen via letter and publications. Seabury wrote 3 thoughts on the proceedings of the Continental Congress under the pen name A.W. Farmer. Seabury was a loyalist living in New York City. Hamilton responds in a series of letters and publications, one of the most famous being The Farmer Refuted. Seabury is eventually arrested and jailed as a loyalist. So listen to the song. Take
No,
close attention
we
to
did.
different styles, the flow, tempo, rhythm, rhyme, and word choice between Hamilton and Seabury.
No, 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 no. We've done this. I don't know. It's so weird.
So we have 2 people having a dialogue here, sort of. We have Seabury who starts out and he says the same thing twice, or he tries to. Hamilton makes it very hard for him and eventually he just gives up. The interesting thing though is the way that these 2 different personalities are being juxtaposed together. Seabury obviously has a much more old world feel to him. You can actually hear the harpsichord playing in the background, which is very different from any of the other music that we've heard so far in the show. Seabury is trying to persuade people, don't listen to the Continental Congress. Obviously, he's a loyalist. These people are crazy. They're going to put your lives in danger. And then Hamilton jumps in to refute all of this. And the way he does this is he actually takes Seabury's own words and turns them on his head. Notice how many times their lines actually line up. So Seabury says the sound of screams, and then Hamilton is saying heed not the rabble who scream revolution. They have not and the have-nots revolution. Chaos and bloodshed. They talk about Congress. And then he almost switches to a witty retort every single time that Seabury starts speaking. He says, you talk about Congress. The Congress does not speak for me, Seabury says. And Hamilton replies, my dog speaks more eloquently. So I pray that the king shows you his mercy. Hamilton's witty retort, is he in Jersey? Again, scream, they say several times. We have the monotony of the tiny island across the sea, again, to refer to the island idea of Great Britain. And then Burr intercedes and is trying to say, I would say play nice, all right? And then the ensemble breaks in and says, silence, a message from the king.
I'm sorry, what just happened? I don't know. No, it didn't, but okay. What?
My dog
What has-
is from Congress. Obviously, the retort is he.
Oh, I see.
Wait, what?
I was told that this was a thing. We're not gonna do this.
What?
Blah, blah. Submit your answers, view answers. It's fine. Don't worry about it.
Okay, one last time, we're gonna move on. In this song, Washington is telling Hamilton of his plans to step down and asking Hamilton to help him.
How
write
do
his
you do
farewell
that?
address. The stepping aside sets the precedent for the two-term presidential limits. It will not be imposed until much later. However, it is what they reverted back to, the idea that, hey, Washington only served 2 terms. It's good enough for him, it's good enough for anybody else.
Oh, I wish she'd move her mouse.
It's a more casual exchange between the two, more
I hate that.
reminiscent of history has its eyes on you than something like Right Hand Man. When Washington is most vulnerable and personal, we see a softer side of him. They start on opposite ends, again, juxtaposition, and end up meeting in the middle to write one of Washington's best speeches. You can actually view the full text of the speech here at this link at the bottom of the slide. What is also interesting here is the blending of actual text of the speech and the creative license and speech of Miranda. He blends his own lyrics beautifully with the segments of the actual speech.
No, we're not doing it.
Oh,
We already did. Is that Barack?
What's the mother doing?
Oh my God.
I don't know about you, but I get chills every time.
Oh my
So,
God.
Classic
why don't
this
we look
lady.
at some of the lyrics one last time. Again, we start at the beginning and we have.
I love that it's
Hamilton
just
and
frozen on
Washington,
Barack.
who are an interesting juxtaposition in themselves. You have a strictly regimented military man along with this kind of loose cannon, if you will, as a intentional pun on Hamilton's statement, stole cannons in the beginning of the Revolutionary War.
Obama looks like he has a halo
So-
on.
They're sitting here talking about Jefferson stepping down. And again, one of the more interesting rhymes in this entire show is the fact that he says, I'll write under a pseudonym, you can see what I can do to him.
I loved that.
So pseudonym, do him. Pretty interesting rhyme going on right there, right? So let's look at some of the rhyme scheme going on here. Washington actually has some exact rhyme. He says, no, he's stepping down so he can run for president. I'm stepping down, I'm not running for president. Then let's look at his refrain. One last time, relax, have a drink with me. One last time, let's take a break tonight and then we'll teach him how to say goodbye, you and I.
Should we
So we've got time.
should we
which is
have
gonna
the
be our A,
words up here?
Me, which is gonna be a B. Time again, exact rhyme, A. Tonight,
She did.
it's gonna be a new one, so that's gonna be C. And then we end up with goodbye, goodbye, and I. So D, D, D. So the rhyme scheme.
We're just gonna imagine it.
it. A, C, D, D, D. Pretty interesting, right?
Sure.
Yeah.
If I say goodbye, the legend learns to move on. It outlives me when I'm gone. Like scripture says, everyone shall sit under their own vine and fig tree, and no one shall make them afraid. So this is actually a very interesting part from the Bible. The interesting thing is it can come from 3 potential spots in the Bible. Washington actually referenced it almost 50 different times in his letters and his writing. So it was one of his favorite Bible verses. It could be an allusion to Micah or Micah chapter 4, verse 4. It could be 1 Kings chapter 4, verse 25, or Zechariah chapter 3, verse 10. We don't really know which one he was alluding to, but it's mentioned in all 3 of those verses. And then we start switching into the farewell address, which the juxtaposition and the way that this is presented is absolutely brilliant. Hamilton, was part of the team that wrote this speech. So it's Hamilton's words. And so obviously he starts out speaking them, and then it moves into Washington almost takes over, and his voice is the one that we hear last. So it's Hamilton's words coming out of Washington's mouth as he kind of is faded in. So it's that juxtaposition of the writer and the speaker, the behind the scenes versus what's actually seen. So let's just take a quick look at that first verse and kind of pick it apart, because I know this is some more
Take a look at
archaic,
it.
type dialogue that we're not really used to. And so he says, though in reviewing the incidents of my administration, I am unconscious of intentional error, I am nevertheless too sensible of my defects not to think it probable that I may have committed many errors. I shall also carry with me the hope that my country will view them with indulgence. So what is he trying to say here? He's saying that, I'm looking back over my time as president, and although I didn't mean to make any mistakes, I know myself and I know that I'm human, and I know that I had to have made something along the way. And so he's saying, and along with that knowledge, I also carry with me the hope that when these errors are viewed, that they will be viewed as it was an honest mistake. So pretty wise words, kind of how we would all like to be viewed, right?
Sure. Too incorrect.
So, questions, things to think about. What are the different types of juxtaposition that you see in both of these songs? And in looking at the words or the lyrics, what's one example that specifically stands out? What is the point that Miranda is trying to make in using all these different types of juxtaposition? And how effectively does Miranda juxtapose the actual speech or published works with his own? So your discussion questions, you need to pick another song that we're not covering in the lecture, so it'll come out of the additional lyrics file, and give 2 examples of juxtaposition of any nature and why you think Miranda chose to use them in 300 plus words. You'll then need to respond to 2 other classmates' posts in 150 plus words each.
She just said something that I thought was interesting, which was the more lyrics file. Oh, look at that. I didn't know that was a thing. Cool. That's literally all the lyrics to everything, and videos if you're interested in them. I also just wanted to, thank you. The bell's gonna ring in like a minute, I'm sure. But I wanted to take a look and see if your prompt for next week is that same question that she just asked. It's an option. Yeah, it's an option. So should be a little bit longer. We'll talk about that next week though. Hope y'all have a lovely weekend. And that's it. I'll see you Monday.
See you Monday.